Hey, what's up, y'all? In 2018, Six Flags America announced that they would be the next theme park to convert their existing B&M stand-up coaster Apocalypse to a floorless model. For those of you keeping track, this is the third such conversion in the United States, following Rougarou at Cedar Point and Patriot at California's Great America. So Apocalypse was rechristened as Firebird and opened to the public in May of 2019. But was it worth the money? Let's take a ride and find out. So first things first, Firebird looks awesome. I really like the colors the park chose for this revamp. Everything looks shiny and new, and it really pops against a blue sky. Of course, upgrading from that dingy gray color scheme was a significant improvement, so kudos to SFA right off the bat. While waiting to board, I also noticed that the new B&M trains look a little more roomy than the company's older designs. The over-the-shoulder restraints don't appear to be as bulky as in the past, which is a huge plus. Not only can you move your head a bit more freely, but if you're a big and tall dude like me, you shouldn't have too much trouble getting situated in the train either. Obviously, none of the stats have changed on the ride. It's still 100 feet tall with a 90-foot drop. The top speed is 55 miles per hour over 2,900 feet of track, and the ride time is about 2 minutes. So with the stats out of the way, it's time to ride. And I can say it's a pretty good conversion. This was, of course, B&M's first coaster, so we expect it to be not quite as refined as some of their later offerings. And as a stand-up, it was never particularly my favorite ride. I found it pretty rough, and I find stand-ups in general to be pretty rough. But as a floorless conversion, that kind of takes care of some of those problems. You start with the, of course, nice first drop with a little bit of float in it. You've got a good loop, and then you've got a nice twisty layout until you hit the corkscrew midway through and a few final turns before you coast up onto the brake run. Overall, there are a few moments of floater air, like I said, but there are also a few moments of headbanging as well. That existed when the ride was Apocalypse, and unfortunately, it still exists as Firebird. But it's not egregious. Overall, the ride experience is still fun, and you can really tell that the public is thrilled with this ride. When I visited, the crowds were pretty light, but everyone knew about the coaster, and everyone seemed to be headed to it for their first rides. And people were really excited to ride it. The staff was doing a good job of getting people on the ride and going, even though it was only one train operation. People were having lots of re-rides and so forth, and from what I heard of people coming off the ride, they really seemed to be enjoying it versus the sort of complaining they did in the old days. So it looks like it's going to be a hit for Six Flags America, which I'm always happy for them. I've actually been going to this park for a long time, since it was Wild World. And I've seen it grow over the years, so I'm always happy to see them doing something well or getting positive feedback from the public. As for the rest of the park, things seem to be running pretty well. It's still early in the season, but the employees were on point. All the rides were running really well. I took a spin on the Wild one. As always, I love that ride. I think it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a classic coaster, and I'm glad it's still around. And then I walked to the back of the park and took a ride on Superman. This ride really towers over the whole back of the park. It's just magnificent looking. Unfortunately for me, even though it was one train operation, the station was pretty empty. So I got at least 2 rides on this in the back seat and really enjoyed it. It's running a little bit rough. Maybe it felt kind of like the wheels maybe need to be changed or something, but still a fun ride. Always a good time on that coaster. So that was just about it for my day at Six Flags America. I had a good time. I enjoyed all the rides that I went on. It's good to see the park doing well, and I continue to wish them success. So if you have any thoughts about the conversion of Apocalypse to Firebird, leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, that's going to be it for this episode. Take care and enjoy the ride.